In his free time on Sundays, he preached in Methodist chapels. A wealthy Methodist shoemaker, Edward Rabbits, was so captivated by his preaching that he offered to pay him 20 shillings a week so that he could become a full-time minister. William leapt at the chance. Edward Rabbits also arranged for him to meet Catherine Mumford. Catherine, born in Derbyshire in the same year as William, had written in her diary about the kind of husband she would consider.
He must be a sincere Christian. He should be a man of sense. I could never respect a fool. I will never marry a man who is not a total abstainer, and this from conviction, and not merely to gratify me. He should perhaps be a minister. I could be most useful to God as a minister's wife. He should be dark and tall, and for preference called William.
So in 1855, Catherine and William were married.
It seemed to be a lifelong love affair. It was also a meeting of minds. Catherine was very much an intellectual, self-made, albeit, but William was a pragmatist, and yes, I think it was a fine combination. She probably added caution to his impetuosity, but that's no bad thing.
In the early years of their marriage, they travelled round England holding meetings, as much as Catherine's delicate health allowed. The first 3 of their 8 children were born in different towns.
I think it was quite extraordinary family life. In a way, it could only have been extraordinary by someone of General Bull's, I use the word, obsession with his destiny. And there's no question that he was devoted to her. There's no question that she was the emotional, at least in earthly terms, centre of his life. Same with his family. The children with whom they were both hugely strict, I might say. But although he was devoted to her, he never let her stand in the way of his calling.
In the midst of the discomfort of this gypsy lifestyle, both discovered more about their different abilities. In Gateshead, William found huge numbers were being converted through his preaching in the Methodist chapel, while Catherine began working with alcoholic men. Within a few weeks, 10 of these men had turned away from drinking and met her each week for Bible reading and prayer. Catherine was a very liberated woman for her time. She didn't hold to the Victorian male view that women had no right to speak in public and had no opinions worth hearing. She'd read the Bible through many times and knew the teaching that in Christ there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. So when she heard an inner voice telling her to preach, she knew God was speaking to her. With great fear and trepidation, she acted on it and found that William and the Gateshead congregation welcomed her preaching enthusiastically. Later on in London, she held her own series of evangelistic meetings and gained great respect amongst the middle and upper classes. Prime Minister Gladstone and Queen Victoria were among the many people who consulted her.
Many of the things which, shall we say, William achieved were only achievable because of the strength, the support, the vision of Catherine.
William, meanwhile, was still searching restlessly for the particular work he felt God was calling him to. He resigned in frustration from Methodism in 1861 because he felt he was being limited in his ministry. It was a bewildering time, and 30 years later, William said,
I see in all the unpleasant experiences of my early days the hand of God himself, leading me by a way that I knew not, that I could scarcely believe at the time to be his way.
When the family eventually found themselves in London, William received an unexpected invitation from a group called the East London Special Services Committee, who wanted him to lead meetings in a tattered tent in Whitechapel. He accepted unwillingly because he wasn't sure of his ability to communicate with people from such poor backgrounds. When he wasn't preaching, he walked the East End streets, where every 5th shop sold gin, even to 5-year-olds, and where mothers fed their babies on cheap beer. These were scenes of heartbreak for William as he remembered his Nottingham days and felt the